Hello guys, it's Max from Edgecraft and welcome to the second episode of our series on sharpening, where sharpening professionals answer the questions that our audience ask us. Here's Mr. Cox. Mr. Cox.
Good day, sir. Nice to be back chatting with you.
And we have a few questions actually for today, actually three of them. And the first one is, what is the difference between sharpening and honing a knife?
The difference between sharpening and honing, sharpening is you're going to use your stones, you're going to put it on a system, and you're going to take the angle back, and you're going to bring a burr. So if I was going to sharpen, use this knife, I'm going to put it on a sharpening stones, I'm going to take it back right all the way down, sharpen it with all the 5 different grits, put it back to the original angle. That would be sharpening. Honing, you're going to use what we call the honing rod. So this is just honing. So what we're going to do by honing, you're just going to be doing this. So this is what I call honing, is you touch up into your kitchen. So when you're working in the kitchen, you don't have to sharpen your knife every day. Usually you sharpen your knife about once a year. If you ever use, about every 6 months. If it's the heavy duty kitchen knife. In the meantime, you do an honing. So every week or so, you just come back here and you just do a few swipes, and that's honing. And then after a while, the honing is going to make your edge like a convex, going to round it over. And after a while, your knife is just not going to cut no more. So you have to go back what we call sharpening, and put stones on and bring your angle back and bring it back to the original angle. And then that would be sharpening. So that's the difference between the two.
And how often would you suggest to hone your knife?
Hone the knife, you probably have to do it about once a week. It depends on what you're cutting. If you're doing just vegetables and regular, like chicken and meat, probably a week, maybe every 2 weeks. It depends on the quality, the steel of the knife. But you don't have to do it that often. Just when you start to feel your knife is really not cutting, like if you was cutting a tomato and it's not budding, your knife is starting to get a little dull. So you just go back and honing. But you'll see when your knife starts to what I call dragging. It's not cutting. You got to really go back seesawing to get it to cut. But then you need to touch it up. Some people like to do it every time they use a knife. Just get 1 or 2 swipes like this, and then they always got a razor sharp knife. So some people just like to do it almost every time they come in for do their cooking, and some more people would go a little further. The steels I called, I'd say every 2 weeks. If you got a low carbon and it's not all disease, you might have to do it every time. So bounce it back and forth, but just watch it cutting. And it's just getting dull, because the dull knife will cut you faster than a sharp knife, because the knife is going to slip onto it. So it's a good habit to keep it touched up.
The second question that we have is, what is the minimum set of sharpening stones that a beginner needs?
My personal would be 5 stones. I like the 5 stone stick. Whether you're a beginner or professional, you want the same results with your knife. So I like the 5 stones, and I like starting out with a 160. So that the 160 is going to bring your edge back, because you're the one that's going to remove the more steel. So you're going to get your burr back, and you're going to set up. After the 160, you go to the 240. That's going to refine your edge, and your edge is going to be set. From the 240 all the way up, you're not removing much steel. You're only mostly polishing the grits out after that. So then I go from the 240, I go to the 600 grit. The 600 grit, you're getting a real nice edge onto it. And then you go to the 3000 grit. And the 3000 grit, you got a good knife. The knife is going to be pretty close to what I call razor sharp. And then the 5th stone is what I like is the 10,000. It is if you're going to be doing a sushi knife, or fine cutting vegetables, that'll really polish your edge. So like I said, 4 would be the 3000. When you get the 3000, you're pretty good there for a beginner. And I say the professional would be the 10,000. That's the ones that I use. I like using. And once you get the 3, but the 10, that's a super razor reach onto it. So like I said, if you're doing fish and chicken breasts and stuff like that, it gets a nice edge onto your knife.
Mm-hmm. I have one question. Does it depend on how much the knife is damaged in terms of what stone you start with, like 160, 285 to 325?
Yes, it does some, but I just got it. I'm old fashioned. I just go like I take the 160 right away, no matter what, because what happens is your knife looks good, but what happens if you're owning your knife, you don't see the convex. The convex is coming like your blade is coming like rounded, so the shoulders of the knife is coming rounded, and you don't really see that with your naked eye. So I always start with the 160. So then we want that straight
Mm-hmm.
like edge onto it. So that's going to knock that shoulder back. That's what I call the shoulder. So it's going to knock that shoulder right back, and you're going to put a nice straight edge onto it, like a V edge back. So you can do it with the 240, but you're putting your 240 through more wear than is needed. So your 260 is going to take that off real quick, and then you're going because if you like, say you can do it with the 240, but you just got to make so many more passes to get it there. So the 160 is great. Now, if the knife is real damaged, you got big chunks of steel took out and stuff, well, then, you need another system. You need a real coarse, like an 80 grit to really chew off the steel, or go to a belt grinder and take it back. But a 160 is pretty rough. And I use the 160 CBN silver, and that removes steel real fast.
Mm-hmm. So basically, like you are saving up on time first, and you're saving up on the longevity of the sharpening stone, basically.
Yes, yes. So as you like, I like to keep my stones in top shape. So by using the 160, that'll remove say 99% of the steel. So if I got to replace any stone, I'm only going to be replacing my 160. That's the one that's going to take the hardest use. So every other one, it'll last me practically a lifetime. But if I would do it the other way, then I would use the 160, and my 240 will be getting wore out, and then as we move forward. So I like the 260 on the 160. Sorry, but that 160 is the most versatile one. The most I use is and the hardest used one is going to be the 160.
And you, as you mentioned last time during our last and the first episode, you mentioned that 160 is still in a very good shape after how many knives?
Right there now, I got just over 100 knives sharpened with the 160, and I did a test yesterday, and I put the straight ruler under it, and he's still perfectly flat.
Perfectly
There's
flat.
no augment on it. So, like I said, I'm over 100 knives onto that stone. So I'm happy.
That's great.
I have no complaints whatsoever.
Okay, then let's move on to the third question, which is, what is the most versatile grit for home use?
The most versatile, I would say, for even ohm, or if you're carrying a 600. A 600 grit. It is if you're in the field, if you want to take one of your stones and just put it in your pack as instead of carrying the rod, you just carry the stone. I would carry the 600 grit, and you can put it in your pack, and it'll do your touch up into the field on your knife. Any coarser than 600 is going to be too rough at further sharpening in the field, and over 600, I find it's too fine. You're not getting anywhere. So to me, 600 is a great place to be. And the same thing if you never add the honing rod and you had your stones, you take the 600, take your 600 grit, and just hold it in your hand, and you come like a honing rod, and you just pull your knife across the 600, and you push it across this way. And you will do a nice job with it. So, to me, 600 is the most versatile grit to have.
And just a little question: what would you take with you somewhere if you had a chance? Would it be a honing rod or a sharpening stone? 600.
I carry a sharpening stone. If I was going into the field, I would carry a 600 grit sharpening stone.
And how do you use it? Do you have a sharpening machine in hand, or just with hand?
No, I would do it freehand. Because if I'm in the field, I'm only I'm going moose hunting. So if I was going to carry a stone, that if I would have touched up my knife, I would just use a free hand, so I would actually hold the stone like I would do this rod and just pull the knife across and push
Mm.
into. So, and you're only getting a knife touched up to get your field dressing done onto your animal, and you're coming home, and then you get your knife. The reason why I don't carry this is the size. I got no room in my pack to carry it. So your little stone could fit in a little pooch, and you wouldn't even know he's there. And I would just put him in a small plastic case. I would not put him in my case in my pack loose without any protection onto him. But I definitely would carry a 600 stone.
Okay, that's perfectly answers our question. And I think we have still some time. And what about one more
Yes.
question?
One other thing, if you
Oh,
use good quality knife and you got a good stone, you should be able to do your animal without having any field sharpening. You should be able to, but like you said, the 600 would get you there.
yeah, it's like the perfect middle stone.
Yeah, but now the rod works great. Don't get me wrong. The rod would be great to carry in the field if I could. But like I said, it's due to the size that I don't recommend the rod. It's not that the rod wouldn't work to do your touch-ups, but it's just for me when I'm off the grid, I'm going. It's all about size and weight. For packing down, just the rod, it's not fitting in my day pack at the cabin when I'm off the grid. So that's the only reason why I don't recommend this to the little stone. If the stone's more packable than this, but if you're in the woods and if you could carry this, by all means, carry the rod. I'm not saying don't carry the rod, but it's not practical for me to carry.
So I think that we can agree on the fact that the rod is the most suitable for kitchen.
Oh yes,
Right.
yes. I get a lot of this is the reason why I like get your rod, because I get so much demand for have a rod into the kitchen, because the kitchen knife is used every day, all year round, where a hunting knife is used one, maybe two times a year. So the hunters don't need a rod because they get them after their hunt is finished. They bring their knives in and they get them sharpened back and everything. But the kitchen knife, yeah, this is golden into the kitchen. The owning rod, good quality owning rod in the kitchen is, to me, is a must-have.
Yeah, that's true, Mr. Cox. How often should knives be sharpened in everyday use and in a professional kitchen?
In a professional kitchen, what I know of is on average, the professional chef, they get their knives sharpened about every 6 months to a year. Some goes a year if they got very high quality, and depends on what you use. But normally 6 months, you get your knife sharpened. Just take them to a professional sharpener and they're put them on the stones and sharpening their knives. A chef will use this rod practically every day. They'll touch up their knives practically every day into the kitchen, but they all as a learning rod.
Yeah,
that's
a must-have for kitchen.
Exactly, it's a must-have. And if you watch any chef, any show, or they all got the honing rod.
Yeah.
And like I said, they'll own their knives until they get, like I said, $2 with the, like I said, they'll get convex, and then they'll get. I don't say all gives it to a professional sharpener, because some can sharpen their knives themselves, but they'll take them out and set them down and own their knives back to the original state, and then they're good for another 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes down to the set of knives, what they has. Some might only have two knives, so they're going to have to get those knives sharpened more often, or some might have a set of 5, 6 knives, and each knife is used for a particular usage in the kitchen, so the knife is going to last a lot longer, because each knife is only getting used for one certain thing. So, you have a boning knife, so you're going to break down a chicken, you got bone, you're going to have a boning knife, so you're not going to use your chef knife, so you're not going to damage your high quality chef knife. And then when you get the breast meat off of the chicken or whatever, then you're going to use your iron chef knife with a very thin blade to cut up the meat, so you're not damaging the blade onto bones or making contact with things that's not supposed to make contact with.
Mm-hmm.
So some like to have one knife to do everything, which it can be done, but when you come back to the professionals, you always see them, they'll have a rollout what I call a roll, and they have like 5-6 knives in the roll.
Mhm. And maybe it also comes to like a personal feeling. As soon as you feel that your knife is not cutting, right? Then it comes to sharpening.
Exactly. You gotta get the feel of where your knife is starting to get dull, and then to get it touched up. And some people, they come to my shop and say, "Well, the knife can go a little bit longer." I don't recommend that. You don't have to kill the knife dead before you get it resharpened, because like it takes longer for me to resharpen, and you just use more of your steel onto your knife. So,
Yep.
if the knife gets really, really dull, then I got to take out a lot of steel along the edge to get your knife back. Or, the knife is starting to get dull and come back. I'm just a few swipes on the stone, and I'll put it back to new. So you save your knife too. You don't have just to wear out your knife. And the same thing, it comes back to your stone. If you don't have a stone, when the knife gets dull, you bring it back to me to sharpen, and I'm going to be removing steel, a lot of steel, to get them back. Or with this don't remove much steel. This is only aligning your blade, so you're going to save the life of your knife by tenfold by using a rod. And coming back every 3-4 months and getting me to sharpen your knife. I have no problem sharpening it, but you're just wearing out your knife,
Mhm.
You're going to turn a beautiful kitchen knife into a beautiful fillet knife. You're just going to heat all the steel. With this, like I say, my knives in my kitchen, that's about 3 years since I took them out in the shop and sharpened, because I just keep them touched up onto the stone. That's all I need to do in it. Then after a while, when the wife starts complaining that the knife is dead, well then
Yeah.
I'll
Then
take
you
it to the
have more
shop.
work to do.
Yeah, I have more work. Yeah, it's a big difference, because, well, but the thing with this, a lot of people get confused on the angle to use. So normally, I recommend the 20 degrees, and out those created. So if you take the back of your knife and put them right here onto this little knob here, this is about the angle that you should be using.
Mhm.
This is what they put the time for. This is the angle that you should be swiping. So after you get the hang of it, you'll know what angle to run your stone. I just come in freehand, but this is how the rod is designed. This is your angle right here.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you'll see this got a slight taper. Or another way I could recommend is take a black marker and just put a small black marker line along the cutting edge on both sides, and then just take your angle and just rub down the stone. And then if you see the black line removing from right at the cutting edge, you know you got the right angle. So that's how I would define the angles onto the stone. But
Right.
I always come this way, but some people like to go this way. I just can't get used to going away from me. I just got going this way. But when you're coming this way, just be careful not to
Could be
overput in the
dangerous.
night. But yeah, this is a guard. It's actually a guard too. And when you're professionals, you see the guys just going, really crazy. You don't need to do that. You just take your time and get it done right without cutting your arm off.
Right. Yes. I think that we have answered all the questions for today that we have. And yeah, we'll definitely have a third video where we answer more of your questions with Mr. Cox.
Yep.
And for now, that's all. Thank you very much for watching.